because they handle the dollars, they have the big bucks, and because they ask us to jump through the hoops, they do and can affect a lot of things. The Australian Government's digital education revolution, for example, which is the latest initiative that's coming out because they have the dollars, includes an element called the National Secondary Schools Computer Fund. The Commonwealth Government is aiming at and will achieve within by the end of this year to provide a wirelessly enabled specialist education laptop to every public school student in years 9 to 12 by 2012. So every child will have a laptop provided by the Commonwealth at their school, and every secondary school will have a wireless environment to make it work. The responsibility as for New South Wales is the area where the crows fly backward to keep the dust out of their eyes. This is a photograph taken in the Western Districts. We've been through some pretty severe drought lately, and we're not sure it's over yet. This is the dust storm coming through. You can see, gives you a bit of an indication of what the landscape's like. The next slide gives you even more so. I work in the western part of the New South Wales region. Our state is breaking, so New South Wales. The further west you go, our weather comes that way. The further west you go, the drier and harsher the climate is, and people regularly die in the inland who get lost out of their cars and so forth, which is very good. Western New South Wales region covers 2 time zones. It works out at 1 student per 7.6 square kilometres. So isolation and anything and communication is a real issue for us. This is my school, Bletchington Public School. I just took a few random photographs. 2 things from there. Swimming is a really big thing in Australia. And that's obvious by, if you look at our results in the Winter Olympics, 2 gold medals. There ain't much snow in Australia compared to our results in swimming that are just astronomical for a population of 22 million. We have every school in Australia would have a swimming carnival where all the students participate every year, and it's really, really big. We have big swimming programs where every child learns to swim, and that's particularly awesome. Training Excellence in the Integration of Information and Communication Technologies Award, which was funded by Microsoft. They must have been generous in those days. And they gave me the money to go anywhere around the world that I wanted to go and look at whatever I want. It enabled me to visit the USA and Canada, and my regional director, Carol Diamond, had been over here and met the indefatigable Monica. And Carol said to me, she got me together at lunch one day and said, "John, you've got to go to Missouri. You've got to go and see eMINTS." And I said, "No, well, I was thinking about South Africa at the time." And she said, "You must go." Anyway, she convinced me to come. Thank goodness I did. It's interesting that because of Carol, I guess, and I don't know what for other reason, but there are a number of issues that have come out of Missouri that are impacting on New South Wales. The other one that is really big is what we call PBL. I think we call it PBS, actually, the Student Behaviour Management Program. My school has just picked it up, and I would say most schools in New South Wales are running with it at the moment. Primarily when I came, I was looking at initiatives in information and communications technology and what the Northern Hemisphere had been doing, but also school responses to the management of students who were disengaged from the learning process. And that was my prime concern, because I had been working at Falls Public School, which was a school with a significant, very low socioeconomic level, significant behaviour problems, significant number of students with disabilities, and many, many students who were disengaging. The disengagement involved happened in 2 ways, and you've seen the same thing. The more obvious ones, and taking out of the mix of students with severe disabilities, were behaving by violent behaviour. The less obvious, but more concerning, were those who were sitting there with glazed eyes, with this message they were giving out that what you're teaching me and the way you're teaching me is totally irrelevant. You're regarding me as a vessel that you cut the top off and you're pouring education in my head, one front ear's all working out again. They just are bored witless. And that sort of disengaged, the violent behaviour is certainly impacting, and it's a major issue. It's one that I particularly went over to look at. But the one that concerned me was that other disengagement that was happening. because it was making our classrooms very difficult places and very unsatisfying to everybody involved. As I said, I visited eMINTS in Colombia. I also went to Canada and looked at a number of initiatives there. But coming here, I was introduced to the eMINTS experience. Now, what's come out of that? As I said, I apologise for all the script on this page. The text, I wouldn't do this. Hampered. We did have lots of problems and continue to do so. By distance, should go back to the training, I guess. Monica came over with who? Nancy and Michelle. Where's Michelle? And Michelle. And they came over the first year. I put an expression of it. The way it worked is I put an expression. No, I'll take a step back. My regional director, Carol McGuire, was a very proactive lady, very much like Monica. And she got hold of an amount of money from the state government because she could, and to train some eMINTS trainers. State government said, I'll give you this, we had a change of government at the time, of leadership at the top, and they said, well, we've got a commitment, we'll give you the money, but we want you to open it to all the regions, not just Western region. Well, everybody was a bit, the rest of the regions don't work as well as we did. But anyway, we did, and I then advertised it to across the state to see what would happen. Because it came initially from the Western region, we had, I don't forget the breakdown of numbers, but something like 11 teachers from Western region who showed interest. Obviously their superintendents in their districts encouraged them the old tap on the shoulder. But some other regions also wanted to be part of it. So they came to Dubbo, which is our... I pulled this slide off our results. 10 years ago I could not have shown you this. In fact, I would be probably fined enough in jail for showing you, because our teacher union said we're not going to have schools compared to each other. League table. So we're past that. This shows a cohort of students and their growth in literacy. The red arrows show their growth in literacy from a point in year 3 to the point in year 5. Now, I think it speaks for itself. These children all have been in the eMINTS classroom for nearly 2 years when this test was done. The growth in that school when I was there, and I attribute it in part, I won't say totally, I'm not that silly, to eMINTS was huge. What I saw were the blue ones, of course, the ones that didn't show any growth at all, or whose growth were less than the predicted band that should have been. To see students in this, as I said before, Forbes was a school with a lot of students with disabilities and poverty and so forth and extreme behaviours, and to see kids in the playground that would go out there and be literally tearing each other apart and violent. Walk into a classroom where an eMINTS teacher was and sit down and start doing a web quest and working cooperatively with their neighbours, and the teacher was acting as a facilitator and not a teacher, and all that was absolutely amazing. And the results speak for themselves. The last time I showed this slide to a connected learning conference in Sydney, there were 400 people in there, primarily administrators, and they were very keen to find out about eMINTS and what it was about, and I had got all the trainers along to talk and present segments. There was a standing ovation from the hall. Of course, they could see that there was something, and I think